So, peer t-test. We need to understand what is the peer t-test, what is the purpose of peer t-test, what is the assumptions of the peer t-test, and what is the procedure, how to do apply the peer t-test, and interpretation of the pair test. These three, 4 points is very important for pair test. So as we know, pair test is a statistical test used to determine whether there is a significant difference between the means of two related groups. This is important. We need to understand. Related groups means subject is common before and after measurements. It is specifically designed for comparing the means of two sets of measurement taken from the, as I said, same individuals, subjects or entities. So for key points for pair t-test, we need to understand, as I said, what is the purpose of pair t-test? It assesses whether the mean difference between paired observations, such as I said earlier, before and after measurements, or measurements on subjects is statistically significant. Then we need to understand what is the assumptions. We need to understand few assumptions like data within each pair should be independent of each others. Second, the difference between pairs should be approximately normally distributed. The difference should follow distribution with a mean of zero and consistent standard deviation. Once we know the assumptions, then we need to understand what is the procedures of the pair t-test, means how to start on data actually. So first of all, calculate the difference between paired observations, subtracting from post-treatment values from pre-treatment values. Then compute the mean of these differences. Then calculate the standard deviation of these differences. Then pair t-test statistics calculate as the mean difference divided by the standard error of the mean differences. This is the pair t-test statistics. This is the formula, and we will get it more clarity with help of the examples. Then compare the calculated t-value to a critical t-value from the t-distribution with degree of freedom n minus 1 when n is the number of pairs. Then we need to understand, once we obtain the values, final results, then how to interpret. That is very important. Being a researchers applied like forensic nutrition, physiotherapy, and clinical research, any kind of the data, if you are going to use and apply and getting the value, then being a researchers, we need to interpret the results. So if the calculated t value exceeds the critical t value, it suggests that the mean difference between the paired observations is statistically significant. The null hypothesis assumes that the mean difference is zero. Rejecting the null hypothesis indicate that there is a significant difference between the mean of the paired groups. So once we know these things, so we have one examples, we can get more clarity of the pair t-test with help of the examples. So before examples, we need to understand pair t-test is commonly used in various fields, including medicine, to compare the effectiveness of treatment before and after, psychology to analyze pre-test and post-test, and other scientific research areas where paired observation are obtained. It's important to note that the pair t-test assumes normality of the differences and is sensitive to outliers. If the assumptions are violated or the data are not suitable for a parametric test, alternative non-parametric test like the Wilcoxon sign rank test may be considered for the data set if it is not following the normality of the data. Now we have one examples we can understand, like for example, we are measuring serum cholesterol level for 12 patients. So we have a, see here, we have a starting from 1 to 12 patients we have, and we are going to provide some drugs to reduce, and we are going to check is the drug is effective to reducing the serum cholesterol level for these 12 patients or not. So before giving the drug, we are just measuring what is the actual serum cholesterol level at baseline. So we have a baseline data before giving the data for each 12 patient. Then we are giving this drug, we are giving all these 12 patients. After that, we are measuring again serum cholesterol level, and we are getting this difference. So this is the questions. If we have this kind of the data set, we need to apply the PRT test. So how to do it? Let's check the procedures for getting the value of PRT test. Suppose we have this data is this is first column, second column, and third column already given in the questions. So as we know, according to procedure, we have to find out the difference from after treatment minus before. So each in the corresponding value, we are getting the difference like 200 minus 201, it's a minus 1. Accordingly, we can find out all these values. Then we are just, because we have some negative points and positive ones, we can do it the d square. Why? Because we have to calculate the mean and standard deviation. So for mean, like d is given, so we can calculate like d bar. So how we'll calculate the d bar? So d bar we can calculate like summation all the di column, and divided by, we have 12 observations, so we can divide by 12, and we can find out the value of d bar. So this we can find out, but once we are going to calculate the standard deviation, so standard deviation, for calculation for standard deviation, we have a different formula. So you can create the tables accordingly which formula you can apply. So for that, we have calculated here d square. But if you are going for different formula, you need not to calculate d square. You can go for like di and minus d bar, and we can calculate, you can calculate no this kind of the one table. So it's according to the researchers which one you are preferring, you can go with that. So as we know, once we are applying the statistical test, we have to start from the null hypothesis. So what is the null hypothesis in that case? Drug is not effective for the reducing the serum cholesterol level in the patients. An alternative hypothesis, drug is effective for the reducing the serum cholesterol level in the patients. And test statistic, this is the formula for PRT test. This formula we can write like this, and d bar, as we know, the mean of the difference. SD means standard deviation of the difference, and n minus 1 is the degree of freedom. So as we have calculated previous d bar if we are calculating, so we are getting the minus 20.17. And for standard deviation, we can use this formula. Otherwise, you can another formula. This one you can use. So here, as per the table we have prepared, we can use this formula, and we can find out the standard deviation. This, and we can use this formula, and we can find out the t statistics value. This one like 3.02. So as we know, tabulated value of the 5% level of significance and minus degree of freedom is 2.20, 2.200. So how it will come 2.20? If we see the t distribution critical value, so we have to go through the degree of freedom. N minus 1, total n is 12, n minus 1 is the 11, and 5% level of significance. So we have to go through the 5%. The two-tail test, we are using two-tail test. So we have to go through this accordingly, this column and this row and this cut point. So here cut point is coming here 2.201. So this is our tabulated value as we have mentioned here 2.20. So sometimes if it is in examination is coming, sometimes in examination or in questions tabulated value 2.20 is given. So we can use from given, then we can use same. Otherwise, if it is not given, then table is provided, we can find out. But if it is the degree of freedom is to 11, 11 is coming and 5% level of significance two tail test, we can use 2.20. We can remember it for examination purpose. So pair t test, it means calculated value greater than tabulated values, means calculated we have calculated 3.02 and table value 2.20. So mean difference in cholesterol level before and after giving the drug is statistically significant, p less than 0.05. Conclusion, we can say it means that drug is effective in reducing the cholesterol value in patient, and we can say we are 95% confidence for that.